previously on our 2025 Northern Tour. We made a mad push northward through Utah, making a stop or two. The stuff forms from that reddish-colored sandstone, the Great Salt Lake. And entered Idaho. Welcome to Idaho! Visiting a site of pop culture movie history, the Napoleon Dynamite House. Isn't that fun? And getting lost just a bit before landing at Massacre Rocks State Park. We'll start off and learn why this place is called Massacre Rocks. It's a pretty gnarly name. So as you'll learn and you'll see, the Snake River is right over that way, not far from where I'm camping, and we're gonna spend some time on the banks of the Snake River. But for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, men have traveled and women have traveled up and down this river. It's been a travel way for men, and certainly when early settlers came through in the 1800s, this was part of the Oregon Trail. And that's where our story will begin today, is that and why this place is named Massacre Rocks. And the answer is right here. There was a skirmish here between pioneers and the Shoshone Indian tribe back in 1862 when 10 pioneers were killed. And it says that those were not common attacks, but there are numerous accounts of attacks along the Snake River during those pioneering days. So you can see here a diagram of the Oregon Trail, denoted by that red line in there, and the locations of the various skirmishes that occurred between immigrants and the Shoshone. And between August 9th and 10th of 1862, 10 immigrants were killed. And this map basically traces that tragedy over 140 years ago. And I think a tragedy for both sides, mind you. There's a nice display here actually that talks about the entirety of the Oregon Trail. And a lot of you probably are familiar with it from the popular game back from my childhood on the old apples, but I think they've re-released it in modern times, but the one where you would get dysentery and all sorts of horrible things which probably actually happen to people. These signs basically talk about the trail. And Independence, Missouri was considered mile zero, where most people began their journey. And then they would continue through Nebraska. And Courthouse Rock is something that I've heard. And when you got to that point, I think one of these, here we go, when you got to about Chimney Rock, it signaled that about 1/3 of the trail had been traveled. I've not been out to Chimney Rock yet, or that area. That's something I'd love to do in the future. And we're gonna continue. We haven't gotten to our section yet, but this talks about the Platte River, Fort Laramie, into Wyoming. We're getting closer to where I'm at. This is mile 815 at Independence Rock. And then you've got Fort Bridger. And now we're in Idaho. And you can see, you would have, gone along the trail, and there's the Snake River, and here's where we are. And one thing we're gonna be exploring is this thing called Register Rock, where early pioneers chipped their name into stones, kind of like petroglyphs for pioneers. And then of course, it continues. All the way to Oregon, where you finally got to the end of the trail at Oregon City at mile 1,930. So almost a 2,000 mile journey. Considering that they had to travel in the warmer months, if people were doing the trail at this time of the year, my goodness, they wouldn't be worried about snow, but the heat is almost unbearable out here today anyway. It's like 95 degrees and you bake in the sun. So I'm sure the people, the animals, that must have been really brutal no matter how you sliced it. And I saw something interesting here, but basically you could see a variety of activities, the types of critters you can find here. Here's a nasty little one, the Western Diamondback. We've got those where I live. But one thing that's interesting is I saw one of these from a distance, and I was filming another episode, and I said, that's not a pelican. They don't have pelicans out here. Well, lo and behold, they do. It's exactly what I saw. So what we'll do is I'm kind of just starting off this episode, but I'm gonna film it across a couple days. I finished leg of my road trip, which I've been documenting. If you haven't seen those videos, you might enjoy them. But I figured I'd just focus on just this park for this one, which is kind of nice. I don't have to drive. I could do it all on foot and stretch my legs a bit. So you'll probably see a wardrobe change in the middle of it. It's just because we're spending the night here at my campsite a couple nights. So I'll give you a peek at that a little bit later. I'm the only one out here because it's too hot. There's a scenic view here and a geology exhibit. So why don't we, I'm here for the for both actually. There's a lot of rocks around here. All over the campground, all over the property. And I'm curious what type of rocks they are, so I'm hoping this will teach us that. And we should get a good view of the Snake River, I'm hoping. So you can start to see the Snake River down below. Beautiful river, by the way. We're already at the top of the trail, so this was not hard. All right. Let me catch my breath and enjoy the view for a second. Talking to one of the rangers, I think he pointed out that island to me, and there's like a little trail that goes out to the shore. He said that's a really good spot for shore fishing, and they have bass and trout here in the Snake River. So this is basically just denoting that this is a volcanic landscape formed about 6.5 million years ago. And then I think the river helped erode and expose all of this volcanic rock that you see around here. So I think it's dark basalt is what we're looking at, and it's just scattered all over the plain here. Assuming that's what all this stuff is, all those dark, close to black looking rocks. I'm gonna get one more look from the scenic point. It's actually a really fantastic view. If you come here, I'd highly recommend starting your day here. If you're here to explore the history and kind of ponder the men and women that would have traveled through here, the indigenous people that fought for their existence here. All of that went down right along the banks of this. All right, so now I'm back at my campsite here, Site 33 at Massacre Rocks State Park, the lower campground as it's called. Probably a good one for someone towing a trailer or RV. You've got an electric hookup and a water hookup, but this really isn't a campground review or anything. Just wanted to show you where I'm staying. I've got my little perch up there. Right now, really the only shade, but it's starting to encroach more on the site and will hopefully be covering my tent soon. 'Cause it's hot. It is hot. But they are beautiful campsites. You can smell the smell of these pine trees around here, whatever these are, some kind of juniper, I take it, or pinyon pine. Not quite sure exactly in this region what they are, but kind of similar to what I have in my home state of Arizona in places. But basically this is where I'm calling home for tonight and tomorrow night. So camping seems to be a big thing here. There's actually 3 different sections for the campground. The lower campground where I'm at, one called the upper campground, and another one I just found called Canyon View, so which was the primitive one of the bunch. So if you want running water, showers, and stuff like that, you've got that here at this particular campground. All right, I'm back. It's about 8 p.m. I think the sun goes down about 9, but it's gonna go behind this canyon soon. And I figure it's about time to try my hand at fishing here. So I have I'm not bringing my whole tackle box because my hands are full, but I do have pliers, fisherman's pliers and line cutters in my pocket here. And it's hard to YouTube and do this. I will set this camera down when we get there, but this is my first time fishing in maybe, I don't know, 35, 40 years. When I was a child, I guess, and teenager also, I used to fish a lot. I didn't really know what I was doing. I would fish for trout. Gotta find the way down there. I saw a path. Oh, right here. I used to fish all the time. I'd catch stuff once in a while, but I really never learned properly. When I was a child, we'd go trout fishing, rainbow trout in the streams of Missouri all the time. But anyway, on this trip, I bought fishing licenses for Idaho today and tomorrow so I could fish here. And then I bought a fishing license for Montana and then Wyoming. So I'm gonna be fishing mainly for trout, but today we're going for smallmouth bass or trout, but I think this lure I put on here is supposed to be for bass. I know some people that probably watch the show don't like fishing or don't want to watch me fish. My goal on this trip is only catch and release. What I'm really trying to learn how to do is get consistent so I can catch stuff, so I can actually clean it and then eat it on trips, so it will be a food source. I will struggle with that. I have a soft spot for animals, but this is something that I think I have an instinct for. I loved fishing when I was younger, and just as I grew older, I didn't know people that did it, so I just stopped doing it. So anyway, I'm doing this in front of you guys because I know there's somebody out there that will be able to see what I'm doing and give me some advice. I just watched some YouTube videos and did ChatGPT. And man, it's beautiful out here. So really this trip, not planning on doing the killing and cleaning yet. I want to be able to catch fish first and prove that I can do it pretty consistently, so on future trips I have reasonable confidence I can eat, if that's what I'm gonna do. And then, like I said, I'm into conservation. I've learned about it. I spent a lot of time researching this. I talked to the guy at the store I bought this reel, and he's like, man, you really don't want to pinch the barb. You're gonna have a hard time with it. If this jumps, you're gonna lose it. Yes, I know. But when I pull the hook out at first, I just want it to come right out. I don't want to hurt the fish. I want to give the fish the best chance of surviving. I've learned the proper techniques for handling fish, everything. So we're gonna just start here, I guess. We gotta start somewhere. So hopefully I don't offend anybody with it, but sorry. Just something that I wanted to do, and I guess getting cancer and getting cancer treatment kind of awoke me to, you only got one life to live, so stop thinking about doing stuff and actually do it. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm deciding to feature this on the episode about Massacre Rocks, just in case you're new to the show and I just dropped that cancer bit on you. You're gonna have to go back in the back catalog and learn about that. But I wanted to show an activity, a popular activity here at the park. They have kayaking and fishing. And in these waters, there's supposed to be smallmouth bass and trout. I don't know what type of trout, if it's rainbow, brown, both, but I guess we'll find out if I catch something. So this is also a new concept for me, this type of reel with a bail. I've only used as a child pushing a button to cast, not this thing. Watched a video on the proper technique to do it. Watching it and doing it are two different things. So let's see how this goes. Okay, here we go. Oh. Not very good, huh? Already getting things. See, look at this, it's a mess. I made a freaking mess already. How did that happen? Ay, ay, ay. We're off to not a very good start here. Take number 2. Grab these in case I need them. Got the net. I got a rubber net also. I hear that's better for trout so it doesn't get the slime off of them. All right. Once again, I'm just trying to practice casting is my main goal today. I don't care if I catch anything. I think I'm getting the hang of it. My cast is going up too high, I think. Let me get a snag. All right, we're getting better though. That's the key. Just want improvement. Dude, I'm getting it. This is fun. Reliving my childhood now. Try it this way. Oh, lost my... I must not have tied a good knot. The thing just came loose. Gosh dang it. There's one lure gone. That's all right. That's all right. So clearly my fisherman's knot was not all that. Or the improved fishing knot or the improved clinch knot is what I learned how to do. It's a little easier said than done your first time or two though. But I got the feel though, I think I'm getting the cast down. So I was consistent with it, able to get it out except for that last one where the lure just went flying off the line when I cast it. So I did something I needed to practice that knot basically. And it's so beautiful. It's the perfect time of day. It's a perfect time for, I think, fishing too. Around evening, they say, like late afternoon, this time of the day. Now I just want to fish, but running out of daylight and I need to still shower and technically eat dinner. If you think about just this waterway, the Snake River, and all of the history from the indigenous people to the pioneers to Evel Knievel, think that way, if I'm not mistaken, towards Twin Falls, where his jump site, his rocket car jump site was. I'm gonna go try to see that hopefully tomorrow. But I want to leave time for fishing now. I really enjoyed this, you know, just a few casts, but at least now, you know, I've spent maybe 2 hours this afternoon messing with this thing, trying to understand how it works, using ChatGPT to figure it out. I thought it was defective at first because ChatGPT told me something backwards from what I was supposed to do. That's where AI is awesome sometimes, but at other times it's not so great. But we figured it out together. I took the whole thing apart thinking there was a gear catching or something inside of it. It wasn't that at all. Just was, I didn't have the line going through the bail correctly, and then I mistaked the closed for open. And you don't need to hear all of the details, but got that all figured out, practiced tying my knot. So I would say this was very successful for the rest of the trip because I'm really looking forward to fishing in Montana, Wyoming for trout, which is my thing. So I got a bunch of spinner lures. I got a couple variety packs of lures for that. So I'm ready to go. But disappointed this session went as short as it did, but there's a lot of value in it. Massacre Rocks fishing. We'll try to do some more before this is all said and done, and maybe I'll even catch my first fish as an adult. Well, it's the next day, second day at Massacre Rocks State Park. I'm actually not in the park at the moment, right outside the park, but there's actually something of historic interest that I wanted to see here called Register Rock. It's on my way back from Twin Falls, Idaho, where I filmed another episode, so it was the opportune time to stop and check this out. This here is known as Register Rock, and my understanding is that when people were coming by on the Oregon Trail, they would actually stop here and chip their initials, names, what have you, into the actual rock. So we have a historic record of that. So I was reading the sign here, and it basically says that this ground that this rock was on, or is on, was a popular camping spot where people would stop on the Oregon Trail and rest and eat. And when they were here, they would all chip their name. They're actually quite difficult to see. The contrast is a little difficult, but you can see it's chock full of names, like and dates. 1849. I see an 1880 something, and wow. There are many names on this rock. Interestingly, as you circle around this way, there's not as many names. Everybody liked to be in the front. There's one from 1934, though. Yeah, there's really nothing on this side that I can discern, other than that one random 1934. Everybody liked to, I guess, do it in the same place on the front here. There's an 1866, I think. 1885. Just think about that, though. You know, what they were thinking as we looked yesterday at the interpretive signs at Massacre Rocks. You know, starting in Missouri and making your way on, I think it was an almost 2,000-mile journey by wagon. And I'm sure because they probably had to do this in the summer months, as a lot of these actually support that. They're all like August, July. So even though they weren't dealing with snow and cold, think of, you know, yesterday here in the mid-90s. I mean, it would have been hot and uncomfortable, but probably preferable to wintertime in the snow. And it's just amazing that all of these hands did this that long ago. And they left this record. I'd have to imagine that some of these people didn't even make it the whole way. But they made it far if they made it this far. But if you played the video game, the Oregon Trail, you know it's brutal. I'm not trying to suggest that that should be history, but it is based on some truths. And these people knew hardships that I don't think anybody in our country in modern times knows the level of hardship some of these people saw, with disease and hunger and angry indigenous people trying to kill you. It would have been a different thing. You guys know I'm a sucker for a good petroglyph, like especially from the native indigenous people that were pre-Columbian cultures that we study, like the Hohokam in Arizona, the Fremont culture in Utah, any of those things. And when you really think about it, I mean, that's really not much different, other than the natives before did not have a written language, so the meaning really isn't as clear as what these are, names and dates, but still just rock etchings, and maybe hundreds if not thousands of years from now, if it's still here, I mean, it is covered, so it hopefully will be preserved. When the English language is not recognizable as it is today, what will people think? So if you come to visit Massacre Rocks, highly recommend checking this out. A little bit, it's very tangible history that I'm really not getting at Massacre Rocks. We know what happened there, but Massacre Rocks, the actual park, seems more about fishing and activities and camping, albeit on the same trail, the same vicinity that all of these fine folks would have passed through. I mean, I don't think this is officially part of the state park, so I didn't see any fees or anything posted here. I think you can camp here, maybe. I saw something about camping, but I would like to do that if that's possible, to camp on the same ground that these people did, albeit without my oxen and wagon and all of that. Although they should have watched Campvue, because they would have learned that this is not very level ground. Not great for camping, in my opinion. Came in here and I saw this like kind of fenced off thing. It looks important. Let's see if it's anything. Oh wow, I don't see what it's referring to yet, but apparently there's an Indian head and a preacher head carved in this rock and dated 1866. The work of a J.J. Hansen at age 7. He was traveling along the Oregon Trail with his parents to Portland, Oregon, and he eventually became a sculptor. I'm sorry. Look at that. Sure enough. And there's J.J. Hansen, age 7. It actually says it, and the date's obscured, 1866. The leaves are kind of covering it. And that was done by a young 7-year-old boy, and I'm guessing that's the preacher's head over there. Okay, this made my day. I don't know why, but I really like that. I like the thought of a 7-year-old kid, you know, hanging out here, taking a break with his family, and taking time to do something like that. You know, young kids have the more imagination, and if you went on to become a sculptor, you had artistic talent, I guess. Better than I would do chipping in the rock, I can tell you that. Anyway, this was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. A lot more than I thought I would, but I had to make a stop here as part of this episode because I saw it on the maps and read about it, and I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing that I dig. So let's look around here. You would think with all of these rocks, you know, they chose one to chip their names in, and then little Hansen boy did his thing, but you would think there'd be more, and I see something over here, but these look more recent, and they don't look chipped. I just saw some letters. Yeah, these are all recent etchings. I wouldn't even say etchings, they're just recent. I don't know if they're carved into the rock. Yeah, they are. 1977 and 2002, 1931. So there's a mix there of different years. This is mostly 20th century, it would appear. 1955. So I know some people are going to be disgusted because they see the 2002, you know, that's graffiti. So I guess then I say, yeah, it's not as fascinating as 1862 or 1849 or different years, but 100 years from now, 200 years from now, everybody will think it's cool. So I always point that out. I don't want or think people should do this kind of thing, but at some point it becomes historic, and that's the irony of it all. As will these one day. They'll probably, hundreds of years from now, they'll probably have a fence and a thing around this too. All right, just a couple miles down the road, back to my campsite. I'm gonna make some lunch and eat a good meal. And then as long as it stays cooler like this today and overcast, I think I can head out for that hike, that 0.8 mile hike that we scouted out yesterday, and see what kind of Oregon Trail history there is. And I might drop into the visitor center and actually ask them. And I didn't get to go into the visitor center and film it. I think there might be some exhibits in there. So we got to head over there and check that out. Actually, I'm going to go do that first, then I'll go to the campsite and take a break. Oh, this is really cool stuff. There's a map of the Oregon Trail here in the Idaho portion. And I'm just kind of looking over it now. We would be, I'm trying to find us. There's Twin Falls. I was there earlier today, so I didn't realize this went right through there. So we would be somewhere east. Not there, I don't think we went that far. Why can't I see this here? It's probably like right in front of my face. I'm sure somebody out there is like, it's right there, dummy. Another day on the trail. I guess you'll see some of the stuff that they had in daily life, how you would have done your laundry back in the day. It says evening camp was usually a festive time where you usually had someone that knew how to play a fiddle or harmonica. I could see that. Ooh, look at that. They use buffalo chips. I've heard of that for fuel. So, for kindling. So, clean, you know, cooking your dinner over buffalo poop. Neat. Ooh, and not only do you have the human history of the Oregon Trail, you have prehistoric history too. You've got mammoth bones. It looks like here a mammoth fossil. And then a mammoth jaw, I guess. You can actually see its teeth. Look at that. I just had a nice little lunch and got energized, hydrated, and now we're gonna do this 0.8 mile trail, and I figured out what this is all about. So as we walk over in that direction, I'll explain. So I got most of this information off of ChatGPT. I was really struggling trying to find information like from park resources, ironically, but I think really what I'm looking for are points of historic interest, tangible history, not like just talking about it. I like to see things, real things, evidence of the past, like Register Rock. I can relate to that, and that's what energizes me. So as far as that kind of stuff goes, there's really not much here in the park. I think really what we're about to go see might be the only thing, unless I overlook something. Look at that view. that ties to Oregon Trail history in the same way that Register Rock does. And I think we are gonna see an actual section of Oregon Trail and some wagon wheel ruts and a few interpretive signs. So apparently we're gonna walk down this trail and then go under a bridge, I think across under the route out there, and then up here on the other side and hopefully see some cool stuff. But the other nice thing about the park, they have lots of hiking trails, and it's a beautiful area to hike. So I don't mean anything bad by when I say, oh, there's not a lot of history here. The ground that we walk on is full of history, just tangible stuff. It's a little light on, but it's got so many other things. This place is just pure fun, and just a beautiful landscape too. And another fantastic view of the Snake River as we walk down the trail. If you see our other episode, I don't know if this is gonna come out first. It might. So it's either gonna be next week's video or last week's video. I go to Twin Falls and we see the Snake River Canyon, much more dramatic than this, a lot deeper. But still, this is such a really beautiful landscape. We'll show you a little bit more as we walk past that piney tree. Ooh, the old Oregon Trail right through a tunnel, and I love me a good tunnel. Get out of this. It's actually not too hot. I was gonna say get out of the heat. It's a lot cooler today because it's overcast, like 10 degrees cooler than yesterday at this point. It's probably as bad as it's gonna get, so it's in the 80s. I can take that any day of the week. Just that sun when it shines, that makes it hard. Did we find it already? That 0.8 miles goes fast if that's it. Might have a little ways longer to go, I imagine. Please use walkway. Oh yeah, we're not done yet. So we made it to the actual evidence of the past, the trail ruts. We have these signs here that do a good job sharing some anecdotes from what life was like, you know, from people's journals, just how rough it was. But really, this point we're at here would be about 1,300 miles in, and it says if we could rewind time and go back to between 1841 and 1865, you would see wagon after wagon passing through here. And just to kind of orient you, Massacre Rocks State Park and the Snake River, I had to go through 2 tunnels under 2 roads. It's right over there, so it is really close to the river where the trail passed by. And then I assume if you just continue up this ways is where we saw Register Rock. So if people did make that a stopping point, a lot of them would have camped there for the night. But anyway, let's go see if we can see these ruts. So this is actually, the sign says this is one of the few remaining sections of the trail that you can actually see today. So I'm not sure. I thought this would be like rock. So when it says trail ruts, I'm guessing it's just this dirt area here where you can see where the wagons pass through. Because you would have wagon after wagon coming through. But I'm probably walking on the official Oregon Trail right now. I'm standing on it where, you know, probably thousands passed through back in the 1800s. You could see the grass is squashed, I think, from modern pedestrian traffic. Otherwise, this would be completely overgrown. But I don't really see an actual wagon rut, though. I know of such things and have seen them in other places. Maybe they're up here. You know, usually it's like in rock and with, you know, many wagons passing through. Eventually even the rock wears away. So where would it be, these ruts? This looks like kind of a modern trail here. Who knows, maybe this tree wasn't even here back in that time. I don't know how old these things are. But you can see there's a marker denoting the Oregon Trail. I think what it might be is I kind of had in mind like deep grooves carved in rock by many passing wheels, but I'm guessing it's just like this section I'm walking on is kind of depressed a little bit more into the earth. So that's probably what it is. If anybody out there knows if I'm missing something critical here, let me know, but I certainly don't see what I thought I was gonna see. But I do think I see, you know, just the earth bent and kind of unnaturally, I don't know, you can kind of just tell there was something here. And just like the sign said, like many people back then, a lot of people, it wasn't like they were riding on wagons just chilling. You know, the wagons didn't have suspension back then, so riding in those was highly uncomfortable. So the sign back there was saying many just chose to walk, as I'm doing now, you know, alongside the wagons that were pulling their goods. But I think this is about as far as I feel like I need to go through this grass. It starts to, you could tell people don't go much further, but you could see the signpost denoting the location of the trail. I almost wonder if this depression here going that way is are the trail ruts or evidence of where the wagons pass through. It's kind of misleading because I just think, you know, modern foot traffic causes this, but this wasn't, I don't think the dirt parts were the leftovers of the wagons. All right, I think that's the main historic point of interest here at Massacre Rocks, and I enjoyed it. It's especially neat because it's supposed to be one of the few, you know, remaining pieces of evidence of the actual trail itself. So I was actually wondering when I was coming up here, like, oh, I wonder, like, you know, how people do Route 66 and try to find all the various segments and travel the route. I was like, I wonder if you could do that with the Oregon Trail, but I don't think so. I bet most of it's on private land now. All right, everybody, it's late afternoon now on my last night here, and I wanted to check one last thing out. They actually have a marina, I guess they call it that. It's just or a boat launch, I should say, not a marina, my apologies, over that way. A lot of people are driving motorized craft. And I was also told that this is a good fishing spot. A lot of people seem to have luck here, according to the ranger in the visitor center when I arrived yesterday. Wobbly. This might be my fishing spot, actually. I'm gonna grab my rod and reel here in a moment and cast a few. I did buy 2 days worth of license for fishing here in Idaho. The only 2 days I'm really gonna be anywhere with fishing in this state. Tomorrow we head to Montana, where I'm really gonna try to fish and turn it up a notch when I start fishing for trout. But I thought this was an appropriate place to kind of wind it down on this episode, and I definitely wanted to show it just to kind of get most of the stuff here. I've shown you there are some trails that we didn't hike, and it's supposed to be a really difficult frisbee golf course that has ravines and all sorts of like weird obstacles in it. So I actually brought really cheap frisbees to try it out, but I figured throwing stuff over ravines and stuff isn't gonna go well for me, so I didn't want to lose it on the first day. And I didn't have time to play. But anyway, let's just enjoy this scene here on the Snake River together. It is a mighty river though, I'll tell you that. Well folks, we're gonna part ways here. I hope you enjoyed our little whirlwind tour of Massacre Rocks State Park and some of the stuff to do and see here. I really enjoyed my stay at this park. I would just come here to chill out in the future, and I hope I get to one day. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me on this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.